The transport ship groaned as it decelerated into orbit around the ice world of Helheim 7. Inside the cramped crew quarters, Lieutenant Marcus Reed shivered despite his thermal suit being set to maximum output. "Your temperature regulation is failing again," observed Tala, his Vryn crewmate. She watched him from her bunk with 4 luminous eyes that seemed perpetually concerned. The Vryn were reptilian in appearance, with scaled skin that shimmered between green and blue depending on the light. Tala was smaller than Marcus by half, standing barely 4 feet tall, but she was the ship's chief engineer and had saved their lives more times than he could count. "It's fine," Marcus lied through chattering teeth. "Just need another blanket. You have 3 blankets already. The temperature in this room is adequate for human survival at 68 degrees. You should not be cold." Marcus didn't want to explain that 68 degrees was merely survivable, not comfortable. The Vryn, like most species in the Galactic Collective, found human temperature preferences bizarre. Humans wanted their environments at 72 degrees minimum, preferably warmer. Most aliens considered anything above 65 to be wastefully warm. The mission to Helheim 7 was supposed to be routine: retrieve geological samples from the frozen surface, analyze them for rare elements, and return to the fleet. But their shuttle had malfunctioned during descent, and now they were stranded in a research outpost that had been abandoned for 15 years. The heating system was barely functional. "Core temperature dropping," announced Arya, the ship's artificial intelligence, her voice emanating from the wall panel. "Human occupant now at 94.3 degrees. Hypothermia risk increasing." Tala's scales rippled with agitation, a Vryn expression of distress. "This is unacceptable. Your species is too fragile for this environment." "Fragile?" Marcus tried to sound offended, but another violent shiver undermined his protest. "Yes, fragile. Your temperature regulation system is pathetic. You cannot survive temperature variations that most species consider minor inconveniences." Tala slid off her bunk and approached him. "I have been researching human biology during this mission. You will die if your core temperature continues to drop. I'm aware of how hypothermia works. Then you understand that you need an external heat source immediately." Tala's scales shifted to a darker blue, which Marcus had learned indicated she was making a difficult decision. "The heating system will not reach adequate levels for another 6 hours. You do not have 6 hours. What are you suggesting?" "Vryn body temperature averages 105 degrees, significantly higher than human baseline. Physical contact would transfer heat to your body efficiently." She paused, her translator unit clicking as it processed her next words. "Get in my bed, human. You will chill without me." Marcus blinked. "You want to share body heat?" "Yes. It is basic survival biology. Your people must have done this before technological heating existed." He had to admit she was right. Hypothermia was no joke, and pride wouldn't keep him alive. "All right, but if anyone asks about this later, I will tell them I prevented your death through logical application of thermodynamics. Nothing more." Tala's bunk was designed for her smaller frame, which meant it was going to be cramped. She climbed in first, her scaled body radiating heat that Marcus could feel from 2 feet away. When he settled beside her, the warmth was immediate and startling. "Your skin is cold," Tala observed, pressing closer. "Dangerously cold. Trust me, I know." They lay in awkward silence for several minutes. Marcus gradually stopped shivering as Tala's body heat seeped into him. It was strange being this close to an alien, but also oddly comforting. The Vryn didn't give off any particular scent, and her scales were smooth rather than rough. "Your species really does run hot," Marcus said eventually. "Your species runs cold. I do not understand how humans became the premier warriors of the collective when you cannot even regulate your own body temperature properly." Marcus chuckled despite himself. "We're adaptable in other ways. Yes, I have noticed. You complain about everything, yet somehow survive situations that would kill most species. Tala's inner eyelids blinked, a sign of amusement. During the plasma conduit breach last month, you walked through temperatures that should have liquefied your organs. Yet here you are, alive and complaining about being cold. That's different. Heat we can handle. Cold is our weakness. Every species has weaknesses. The Kryn cannot tolerate gravity variations. The moth people die if exposed to moisture. The Vex require specific atmospheric pressure, or they implode. She shifted slightly, ensuring maximum contact. Humans die easily from temperature changes, but you also refuse to die from almost everything else. We're stubborn like that. Core temperature rising, Arya announced. 95.6 degrees and climbing. Current method effective. Tala made a satisfied clicking sound. Good. You will survive. Thanks to you. You would do the same for me. Although I cannot. Imagine a situation where I would require your body heat, given that you are colder than a corpse most of the time. Marcus laughed, feeling warmth spread through his chest that had nothing to do with temperature. You know, for someone who's saving my life, you're pretty insulting. I am Vryn. We value honesty over comfort. Your feelings are secondary to facts. Remind me to teach you about human diplomacy sometime. They fell silent again, but it was more comfortable now. Outside, the ice world's winds howled against the outpost walls. Inside, Marcus felt his body gradually return to normal operating temperature. His fingers and toes tingled as circulation improved. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. You may ask. Why did you volunteer for this mission? You could have stayed on the fleet ship where it's warm and safe. Instead, you're stuck on an ice ball with a freezing human. Tala's scales rippled through several colors before settling on a deep azure. Because someone needed to ensure you did not die doing something foolish. Humans are valuable to the collective, but you are also reckless. You need supervision. So you're my babysitter? I prefer the term survival consultant, but yes, essentially. Marcus smiled. Well, you're doing a great job. I am aware. The hours passed slowly. Arya provided periodic updates on the heating system's progress and Marcus's core temperature. Gradually, the room began to warm. By the time 6 hours had elapsed, the temperature had climbed to a balmy 70 degrees. Heating system now operational at full capacity, Arya announced. Human occupant temperature normalized at 98.4 degrees. Tala immediately began to extract herself from the bunk. Good, you will live. I can now return to my own bed, where there is adequate space and no risk of being crushed by oversized human limbs. Marcus sat up, feeling remarkably better despite the cramped sleeping arrangement. Tala, seriously, thank you. I know that wasn't comfortable for you. She paused, her scales shifting to a softer green. It was not terrible. Your species may be thermally incompetent, but you are at least decent company during life-threatening situations. High praise coming from a Vryn. Do not let it inflate your ego. You are still fragile and prone to dying from minor environmental variations. But her tone was gentler than her words. The next morning, rescue ships arrived from the fleet. As they prepared to evacuate, Captain Yarrow, a towering Kryn with 4 arms and an impressive military record, reviewed their mission report. I see here that emergency thermal sharing protocols were implemented. He rumbled, his translator making his voice sound like grinding stone. Lieutenant Reid, you nearly died from temperature exposure. It was touch and go for a while, sir. And Engineer Tala provided the necessary intervention. The captain's massive head swiveled toward Tala. Your quick thinking is noted and commended. Tala's scales flushed with pride, turning a brilliant gold. I simply applied basic thermodynamics, sir. Nevertheless, you exemplify the cooperative spirit that makes the collective strong. Different species, different capabilities, working together for survival. He turned back to Marcus. And you, Lieutenant, have learned an important lesson about respecting environmental hazards. Yes, sir, I definitely have. As they boarded the rescue shuttle, Marcus found himself standing beside Tala. The Vryn engineer was checking her equipment with her usual meticulous attention to detail. Hey, Tala. Yes, human? If we ever get stuck somewhere cold again, I will once more prevent your death through the application of superior Vryn body temperature. You are welcome. She glanced at him with all 4 eyes. But perhaps try not to put yourself in such situations. My bed is meant for 1 Vryn, not 1 Vryn and 1 oversized, thermally incompetent human. Marcus grinned. Deal. As the shuttle lifted off from Helheim 7, Marcus looked out at the frozen wasteland they were leaving behind. He'd come close to dying on that ice ball, saved only by the quick thinking of an engineer who understood that sometimes survival meant setting aside comfort and doing what needed to be done. In the vast darkness of space, where 1,000 different species worked together despite their differences, that kind of cooperation was what kept everyone alive. Even fragile, cold-sensitive humans like him.